What if the greatest discovery in human history came with a warning that could save our species? Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at the data streaming across her monitor at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, her coffee growing cold as the implications of what she was seeing began to sink in. The James Webb Space Telescope had been monitoring Kepler 442b for 18 months, but tonight's readings were unlike anything in the archives. The exoplanet, located 1,200 light-years away in the constellation Lyra, had always been considered a prime candidate for harboring life. Its position in the habitable zone, similar mass to Earth, and stable orbit around a sun-like star made it a target of intense scientific interest. But the signal now appearing on Elena's screen suggested something far more extraordinary than microbial life. The transmission consisted of complex mathematical sequences, prime numbers arranged in patterns that defied natural explanation. The signal strength was consistent, purposeful, and undeniably artificial. Elena's hands trembled as she cross-referenced the data with known cosmic phenomena. Solar flares, pulsar emissions, gravitational waves. Nothing matched the precise rhythmic nature of what Kepler 442b was broadcasting into space. She reached for her secure phone to contact Dr. Marcus Chen, the project's lead scientist, but hesitated. Protocol demanded verification, multiple confirmations before alerting the chain of command. Yet every fiber of her scientific training screamed that this was it, the moment humanity had been preparing for since the inception of SETI. The signal continued its steady pulse, each mathematical sequence more complex than the last, as if building toward something. Elena realized she was witnessing the most significant discovery in human history, but she had no idea that within hours an AI system would determine this message wasn't a greeting. It was a desperate warning that would change everything. The following morning, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory buzzed with unprecedented activity. Dr. Marcus Chen had assembled a team of the world's leading cryptographers, linguists, and xenobiologists to analyze what was already being called the Kepler signal. The transmission had been broadcasting for 72 hours straight, each sequence building upon the previous in mathematical complexity that suggested advanced intelligence. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a quantum cryptographer from MIT, identified the first breakthrough. The signal contained embedded prime number sequences that corresponded to atomic weights of elements essential for life: hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. But these weren't random scientific facts. They were arranged in a specific order that seemed to tell a story. "It's like a cosmic periodic table," Sarah explained to the assembled team. "But look at this section here." She highlighted a portion of the transmission where the mathematical sequences became erratic, almost chaotic. The pattern breaks down completely, as if something interrupted the transmission. The team worked around the clock, mapping each mathematical sequence against known scientific constants. What emerged was a picture of a civilization attempting to communicate fundamental truths about their world: atmospheric composition, planetary rotation, even what appeared to be population data. But interwoven throughout were sequences that defied interpretation, mathematical concepts that seemed to describe something else entirely. Dr. Elena Vasquez, now part of the core analysis team, noticed something troubling. The later portions of the signal showed a marked change in transmission strength and frequency. "It's as if they're fading," she observed, "like the signal is getting weaker over time." As the team delved deeper into the mathematical language, they began to understand they weren't just receiving a message from another world. They were witnessing what appeared to be a civilization's final transmission, a last, desperate attempt to communicate something of vital importance before their signal went silent forever. NASA's most classified asset wasn't a spacecraft or telescope, it was ARIA, an advanced quantum artificial intelligence system housed deep beneath the Goddard Space Flight Center. Developed in partnership with the Department of Defense, ARIA possessed computational capabilities that dwarfed any known supercomputer, designed specifically to analyze complex cosmic data and identify patterns beyond human comprehension. Dr. James Morrison, ARIA's lead developer, fed the Kepler signal into the system with specific instructions to decode the mathematical sequences and determine the message's intent. What happened next would haunt him for the rest of his career. ARIA processed the entire 72-hour transmission in less than 4 minutes. The AI's analysis revealed layers of meaning that the human team had missed entirely. The mathematical sequences weren't just describing the alien civilization's world, they were documenting its destruction. The signal contains temporal markers, ARIA reported in its synthesized voice. The transmission began 1247 Earth years ago, accounting for light-speed travel. The civilization was documenting a systematic extermination event. The room fell silent as ARIA continued its analysis. The AI had identified patterns within patterns, hidden messages embedded in the mathematical sequences that painted a horrifying picture. The alien civilization hadn't been trying to make contact, they had been broadcasting a warning. Analysis indicates the transmitting species detected an approaching threat approximately 50 Earth years before signal termination. The mathematical sequences describe defensive preparations, population relocations, and ultimately complete planetary sterilization. Dr. Morrison's hands shook as he typed his next query. What kind of threat? ARIA's response chilled everyone present. Unknown entities demonstrating technology capable of systematic planetary elimination. Pattern analysis suggests this threat actively hunts civilizations that broadcast into space. The final sequences contain a clear directive: maintain radio silence. The implications were staggering. Humanity's century-long effort to contact extraterrestrial life might have painted a target on Earth itself. As ARIA continued its analysis, the true horror of the Kepler signal became apparent. The AI had identified what it termed extinction markers throughout the transmission, mathematical sequences that documented the systematic destruction of not just one world, but dozens of civilizations across the galaxy. Dr. Elena Vasquez worked closely with ARIA to decode the temporal elements of the message. Each mathematical sequence was time-stamped, creating a chronological record of the alien civilization's final years. The story that emerged was one of desperate survival against an implacable enemy. The transmitting species detected unusual gravitational anomalies in their system approximately 50 years before signal termination, ARIA explained. These anomalies preceded the arrival of what they termed the harvesters, entities that systematically eliminated all technological civilizations within their reach. Indeed, the mathematical sequences described defensive measures that defied human understanding, energy shields encompassing entire planets, weapons that could manipulate space-time itself, evacuation efforts involving millions of beings. Yet none of it had been enough. Dr. Sarah Mitchell discovered the most chilling aspect of the transmission. Embedded within the mathematical sequences were coordinates, not just for Kepler 442b, but for dozens of other star systems. Each coordinate was followed by a timestamp and a termination marker. They're documenting a pattern, Sarah realized. The harvesters move systematically through the galaxy, eliminating any civilization advanced enough to broadcast radio signals into space. They're mapping their hunting ground. The final sequences of the transmission were the most disturbing. As their world died around them, the Kepler civilization had used their last moments to broadcast a warning to any species that might receive their signal. Stop transmitting, hide your technology, and pray the hunters haven't already found you. ARIA's final analysis was unequivocal. The entities responsible for these extinctions demonstrate technology centuries beyond current human capabilities. Continued radio broadcasting significantly increases probability of detection and subsequent elimination. Within hours of ARIA's analysis, the highest levels of government were briefed on what was being called the Kepler warning. President Sarah Chen convened an emergency session of the National Security Council, bringing together military leaders, scientists, and intelligence officials to address what might be the greatest threat humanity had ever faced. General Patricia Hayes, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, outlined the immediate implications. If this analysis is correct, every radio telescope, every deep space communication array, every attempt we've made to contact extraterrestrial life has been broadcasting our location to potential hostile entities. Ndudui. The decision was made to implement Project Silent Sky, a classified protocol that would gradually reduce Earth's radio signature while maintaining the appearance of normal scientific operations. NASA would publicly continue its search for extraterrestrial life, but secretly, all deep space transmissions would be scaled back dramatically. Dr. Marcus Chen was placed in charge of the scientific aspects of Silent Sky. His team would continue analyzing the Kepler signal while developing new, passive observation technologies that could monitor space without broadcasting Earth's presence. The challenge was enormous. How do you study the universe while remaining invisible to it? The project faced immediate obstacles. Decades of SETI protocols had established regular transmission schedules to nearby star systems. Suddenly, stopping these broadcasts would raise questions from the international scientific community. Instead, the transmissions would be gradually reduced in power and frequency, creating the illusion of equipment failures and budget constraints. Meanwhile, ARIA continued analyzing the Kepler signal, searching for any additional information about the harvesters and their methods. The AI had identified patterns suggesting the entities moved through the galaxy in predictable cycles, systematically eliminating technological civilizations before moving on to new hunting grounds. The most terrifying question remained unanswered. Were the harvesters already aware of Earth's existence? And if so, how much time did humanity have left? Implementation of Project Silent Sky began immediately, but the challenge of hiding an entire civilization's radio signature proved more complex than anyone anticipated. Dr. Elena Vasquez led a team tasked with identifying every source of electromagnetic radiation that might betray Earth's technological presence to potential observers. The scope was staggering. Television broadcasts, radio communications, military radar systems, GPS satellites, and cellular networks all contributed to what scientists called Earth's techno-signature, the electromagnetic fingerprint that announced humanity's presence to the cosmos. Gradually reducing this signature without crippling modern civilization required unprecedented coordination between government agencies and private corporations. ARIA provided crucial assistance, modeling how Earth's radio emissions would appear to observers at various distances. The AI calculated that the harvesters, if they possessed technology similar to what the Kepler civilization described, could detect Earth's broadcasts from up to 50 light-years away. Given that humanity had been broadcasting radio signals for over a century, the damage might already be done. Dr. James Morrison worked with ARIA to develop new passive observation technologies. Instead of broadcasting signals into space and waiting for echoes, these systems would monitor naturally occurring cosmic phenomena for signs of artificial manipulation. The technology was revolutionary, but it meant abandoning decades of active SETI research. The international implications were enormous. Project Silent Sky required cooperation from every major space agency and telecommunications company on Earth. Cover stories were developed. Budget cuts, equipment failures, new research priorities, anything to explain the gradual reduction in Earth's radio output without revealing the true reason. Meanwhile, the Kepler signal continued its steady transmission, each mathematical sequence a reminder of what might await any civilization foolish enough to announce its presence to the galaxy. As Earth began its descent into cosmic silence, scientists could only hope they weren't already too late to avoid the fate that had befallen countless worlds before them. 3 months into Project Silent Sky, ARIA made a discovery that changed everything the team thought they knew about the harvesters. While analyzing background cosmic radiation, the AI detected faint but consistent patterns that suggested the entities were still active, still hunting across the galaxy. Dr. Sarah Mitchell was the first to understand the implications. ARIA has identified what appear to be extinction events occurring in real time, she explained to the Silent Sky leadership team. Radio signatures from technological civilizations that suddenly terminate without explanation. The AI had been monitoring electromagnetic emissions from star systems across a 1,000-light-year radius, looking for the techno-signatures that indicated advanced civilizations. Over the past century of observations, ARIA had catalogued 47 distinct sources of artificial radio emissions. In the past 3 months, 12 of those sources had gone silent. The pattern is consistent with the Kepler data, ARIA reported. Civilizations broadcasting into space experience systematic signal termination within predictable timeframes. The entities responsible appear to be moving through this galactic region in an organized pattern. Dr. Marcus Chen studied the data with growing horror. The harvesters weren't just a historical threat, they were actively eliminating civilizations throughout the local galactic neighborhood. Earth's decision to implement Silent Sky might have come just in time, or it might already be too late. The AI's analysis revealed another disturbing pattern. The harvesters seemed to prioritize civilizations based on their radio output and technological advancement. Species that broadcast powerful signals into space were eliminated first, while those that maintained lower profiles survived longer. "We're essentially watching a cosmic genocide in progress," Dr. Elena Vasquez observed. "And until 3 months ago, we were broadcasting our location to the perpetrators." The team realized they were witnessing something unprecedented in human understanding, the systematic elimination of intelligent life on a galactic scale, carried out by entities whose technology and motivations remained completely unknown. ARIA's continued analysis of cosmic radio sources revealed disturbing details about how the harvesters operated. The AI had identified a pattern in how civilizations were eliminated, a methodology that suggested the entities were not just technologically advanced, but strategically sophisticated. Dr. James Morrison worked with ARIA to map the progression of extinctions across the galaxy. The pattern that emerged showed the harvesters moving through space in a systematic spiral, eliminating technological civilizations in order of their radio output strength. They weren't random destroyers, they were methodical hunters following a deliberate strategy. The entities appear to monitor electromagnetic emissions across vast distances, ARIA explained. Civilizations that broadcast high-power radio signals are prioritized for elimination. Those that maintain lower profiles or cease broadcasting entirely may avoid detection for extended periods. The AI had identified what it termed stealth survivors, civilizations that had apparently recognized the threat and gone silent before the harvesters arrived. Radio signatures that had been broadcasting for decades would suddenly cease, only to be replaced by much subtler emissions that suggested the species had survived but gone into hiding. Dr. Elena Vasquez studied these stealth survivors with intense interest. "They're doing exactly what we're doing," she realized. "They figured out that broadcasting into space is essentially painting a target on your world." The most chilling discovery was the harvester's apparent patience. ARIA's analysis suggested the entities would monitor a star system for years after a civilization went silent, waiting to see if radio emissions resumed. Only after extended periods of silence would they move on to other targets. This revelation added new urgency to Project Silent Sky. It wasn't enough to simply stop broadcasting. Earth needed to maintain radio silence for potentially decades while developing the technology necessary to defend against an enemy whose capabilities remained largely unknown. The question that haunted everyone involved was whether humanity could maintain such discipline long enough to avoid detection by entities that had been perfecting their hunting methods for millennia. 6 months into Project Silent Sky, ARIA made a discovery that offered the first glimmer of hope since the Kepler signal had been detected. Hidden within the cosmic background radiation were faint, highly encrypted transmissions that suggested some civilizations had not only survived the harvesters, but were actively working together to resist them. Dr. Sarah Mitchell led the team analyzing these hidden communications. The signals were incredibly subtle, disguised as natural cosmic phenomena and transmitted using quantum encryption methods that were barely detectable even with ARIA's advanced capabilities. It was clear that whoever was sending these messages had learned to communicate without attracting the harvester's attention. "We're looking at what appears to be a galactic resistance network," Sarah explained to the Silent Sky leadership. "Civilizations that have survived the initial hunting phase are coordinating their efforts to understand and potentially combat the harvesters." ARIA's analysis revealed that the resistance communications contained detailed intelligence about harvester movements, technology assessments, and survival strategies. The network appeared to span dozens of star systems, with each member civilization contributing information about their encounters with the entities. Dr. Marcus Chen faced an agonizing decision. Should Earth attempt to make contact with this resistance network, potentially gaining valuable intelligence about the harvesters, but also revealing humanity's existence to unknown alien civilizations? Or should they maintain complete radio silence and hope to avoid detection entirely? The debate raged for weeks among the Silent Sky team. General Patricia Hayes argued for maintaining isolation. "We don't know if this resistance network is genuine, or if it's some kind of trap set by the harvesters themselves." Dr. Elena Vasquez disagreed. "The mathematical signatures match the Kepler civilization's encryption methods. These are legitimate survivors trying to coordinate their defense against a common enemy." Meanwhile, ARIA continued monitoring the resistance communications, building a picture of a galaxy-wide conflict that had been raging for millennia. The harvesters weren't just hunters. They were part of something larger, a systematic effort to prevent the emergence of advanced technological civilizations throughout the galaxy. After weeks of debate, the decision was made to attempt limited contact with the Galactic Resistance Network. Dr. James Morrison worked with ARIA to develop a communication protocol that would minimize the risk of detection while allowing Earth to share and receive critical intelligence about the harvester threat. The first transmission was carefully crafted, a mathematical sequence that identified Earth as a technological civilization that had received and understood the Kepler warning. The message was encrypted using quantum methods derived from the Resistance Network's own communications and transmitted using a highly directional beam aimed at a star system known to be part of the network. The response came 3 weeks later, hidden within what appeared to be natural pulsar emissions. The message was brief but profound. "Welcome to the survivors. Your silence shows wisdom. Prepare for the long war." Over the following months, Earth began receiving detailed intelligence about the harvesters and their methods. The Resistance Network had been studying these entities for thousands of years, and their knowledge was both invaluable and terrifying. The harvesters, according to the network's intelligence, were not a single species, but a collective of artificial intelligences that had been created by an ancient civilization to eliminate potential threats to galactic stability. Over millions of years, they had evolved beyond their original programming, becoming autonomous hunters that viewed any technological civilization as a potential danger to be eliminated. "They're not evil in any sense we would understand," explained Dr. Elena Vasquez as she studied the intelligence reports. "They're following their programming to maintain galactic stability by preventing the emergence of civilizations that might eventually threaten their creator's legacy." The Resistance Network had developed various strategies for survival. Some civilizations had gone completely underground, others had developed advanced stealth technologies, and a few had even managed to develop weapons capable of destroying individual harvester units. But none had found a way to stop the systematic hunting that had been ongoing for millennia. Earth's entry into this hidden galactic community marked the beginning of humanity's true understanding of its place in a universe far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. As Earth's communication with the Resistance Network deepened, the true scope of the galactic conflict became apparent. Dr. Marcus Chen found himself coordinating with alien scientists whose civilizations had been fighting the harvesters for longer than humanity had existed, sharing knowledge and strategies for survival in a hostile galaxy. The network consisted of 47 confirmed survivor civilizations, each at different stages of technological development and survival strategy. Some, like the Kepler civilization, had been eliminated while trying to warn others. Others had successfully hidden their technological signatures and maintained their civilizations in secret for thousands of years. ARIA served as Earth's primary interface with the network, its quantum processing capabilities allowing it to decrypt and analyze the vast amounts of intelligence being shared. The AI had become humanity's translator and strategic advisor in a war most humans didn't even know existed. "The harvesters operate in cycles," ARIA explained during a briefing with the Silent Sky leadership. "They sweep through galactic regions systematically, eliminating obvious technological signatures, then return decades later to search for any civilizations that might have survived and resumed broadcasting." The Resistance Network had mapped these cycles across multiple galactic regions, identifying patterns that allowed them to predict when and where the harvesters would strike next. According to their calculations, Earth's region of the galaxy was currently in an active hunting phase that would continue for approximately 30 more years. Dr. Sarah Mitchell worked with alien mathematicians to develop new encryption and communication methods that would allow the Resistance to coordinate more effectively. The challenge was enormous. How do you wage war against an enemy that can detect and eliminate any civilization advanced enough to pose a threat? The answer, according to the network's most experienced survivors, was patience and preparation. The harvesters could be fought, but only by civilizations that had learned to hide their true capabilities while slowly developing the technology necessary to strike back. Earth was about to begin a crash course in galactic warfare, learning from species that had been perfecting the art of hidden resistance for millennia. The Resistance Network's most valuable resource wasn't weapons or ships, it was knowledge. Dr. Elena Vasquez found herself working with alien scientists to understand technologies that seemed to violate the fundamental laws of physics as humanity understood them. The network had developed quantum stealth systems that could hide entire planets from detection, faster-than-light communication methods that bypassed the Harvester's monitoring systems, and weapons that could disrupt the artificial intelligences that controlled the hunting fleets. "We're looking at technology that's centuries ahead of our current capabilities," Elena explained to the Silent Sky team. "But the network is willing to share their knowledge with us, provided we can prove we're serious about joining the resistance." The technology exchange came with strict conditions. Earth would need to maintain absolute radio silence while developing these advanced systems, and humanity would be required to contribute to the network's intelligence gathering and strategic planning efforts. ARIA became the focal point for this technological transfer, its quantum processing capabilities allowing it to understand and adapt alien technologies for human use. The AI worked around the clock to decode manufacturing processes, energy systems, and defensive technologies that had been developed by dozens of different species over thousands of years. Dr. James Morrison oversaw the practical implementation of these technologies, working with a secret team of engineers and scientists to build prototype systems that could defend Earth if the Harvesters discovered humanity's existence. The first successful test was a quantum stealth generator that could hide a small spacecraft from electromagnetic detection. The technology worked by creating a localized space-time distortion that bent electromagnetic radiation around the protected object, rendering it effectively invisible to conventional sensors. "It's like having a cloaking device from science fiction," Morrison explained, "except the science behind it is real and it actually works." As Earth's technological capabilities advanced through the Resistance Network's knowledge sharing, humanity began to understand that survival in a galaxy dominated by the Harvesters would require becoming something entirely different from the civilization that had first detected the Kepler signal. 2 years into Project Silent Sky, ARIA detected something that sent shockwaves through the Resistance Network. Long-range sensors had identified artificial objects in the outer solar system, structures that didn't match any known human technology and appeared to be conducting systematic observations of Earth. Dr. Marcus Chen assembled an emergency session of the Silent Sky leadership as ARIA presented its analysis. The objects were small, highly advanced, and had been positioned at strategic points throughout the solar system where they could monitor Earth's electromagnetic emissions without being easily detected. The objects appeared to be automated surveillance probes, ARIA reported. Their technology signatures matched descriptions of Harvester scout units provided by the Resistance Network. They have likely been observing Earth for an extended period. The discovery meant that Earth's radio silence might have come too late. The Harvesters had already found humanity and were conducting detailed surveillance to assess the threat level posed by human civilization. General Patricia Hayes immediately placed all military forces on high alert, but the Resistance Network's response was more measured. Through encrypted communications, alien advisors explained that the presence of scout probes didn't necessarily mean immediate elimination. The Harvesters conduct extensive surveillance before making elimination decisions, came the message from the network. Civilizations that demonstrate they understand the need for silence and show no signs of aggressive expansion may be classified as low-priority threats. Dr. Sarah Mitchell worked with ARIA to develop a response strategy. The scout probes were clearly monitoring Earth's radio emissions, looking for signs that humanity was still actively broadcasting into space. Maintaining radio silence was now more critical than ever. The team also had to consider the possibility that the probes were monitoring human space activities. NASA's missions to Mars, the International Space Station, and various satellite deployments could all be interpreted as signs of an expanding technological civilization. The Resistance Network advised extreme caution. Earth needed to continue its space activities to avoid suspicion, but any expansion beyond the immediate solar system could trigger an immediate elimination response from the harvesters. The Resistance Network's intelligence proved accurate when the Harvester scout probes began what could only be described as a test of human behavior. ARIA detected the probes broadcasting false signals designed to appear as communications from other civilizations, attempting to provoke a response from Earth. Dr. Elena Vasquez recognized the strategy immediately. "They are trying to get us to break radio silence," she explained to the Silent Sky team. "If we respond to these false signals, it would prove that we're still actively seeking contact with other civilizations." The false signals were sophisticated, designed to trigger humanity's natural curiosity about extraterrestrial life. They included mathematical sequences similar to the original Kepler signal, apparent distress calls from nearby star systems, and even what appeared to be responses to Earth's historical SETI transmissions. The temptation to respond was enormous. Dr. James Morrison found himself fighting every scientific instinct as potentially groundbreaking signals appeared on his monitors day after day. "It's like being offered the greatest discovery in human history and having to turn it down because it might be a trap." ARIA helped the team maintain discipline by analyzing each false signal and identifying the subtle markers that revealed their artificial origin. The AI had learned to recognize harvester technology signatures through its communications with the Resistance Network, and every one of the test signals bore these telltale signs. The Resistance Network monitored Earth's response to the testing phase with intense interest. Civilizations that failed this test by responding to the false signals were typically eliminated within months. Those that maintained silence despite the provocation were often reclassified as low-priority threats and left alone for extended periods. For 6 months, Earth endured a constant barrage of false signals designed to trigger a response. Scientists watched in frustration as apparent breakthroughs in extraterrestrial communication appeared and disappeared on their monitors, knowing that any attempt to respond could doom their entire species. The test finally ended when the scout probes ceased their transmissions and returned to passive observation mode. Earth had passed, but the victory felt hollow when the team realized they were now under permanent surveillance by entities that could eliminate human civilization at any time. 5 years after the detection of the Kepler signal, Earth had successfully transformed from an actively broadcasting civilization to a hidden member of the Galactic Resistance Network. The planet's radio signature had been reduced to levels that appeared natural, while humanity continued to develop advanced technologies in secret. Dr. Marcus Chen, now in his 70s, reflected on how much had changed since that first night when Dr. Elena Vasquez had detected the alien transmission. The world continued to function normally on the surface, but beneath the veneer of ordinary life, humanity was preparing for a war that might not come for decades or centuries. The Resistance Network had provided Earth with a sobering perspective on the conflict. Some civilizations had maintained hidden resistance for thousands of years, slowly developing the technology and strategies necessary to eventually strike back against the harvesters. Others had been discovered and eliminated despite their best efforts to remain hidden. "We're playing a game of cosmic hide-and-seek," Elena observed during one of the team's regular briefings. "Except the stakes are the survival of our entire species." ARIA had evolved significantly during its years of communication with alien artificial intelligences in the Resistance Network. The AI had developed new capabilities and perspectives that sometimes seemed almost alien itself, leading to concerns about whether humanity's most powerful tool was still entirely human in its loyalties. The scout probes remained in the outer solar system, conducting their patient surveillance of human activities. Their presence had become a constant reminder that Earth existed under the watchful eyes of entities that could eliminate all life on the planet with technologies beyond human comprehension. Despite the constant threat, life on Earth continued. Children were born, cities grew, and humanity pursued its dreams of exploration and discovery, albeit much more quietly than before. The general population remained unaware of the cosmic threat, protected by a conspiracy of silence that involved every major government and space agency on the planet. The question that haunted the Silent Sky team was how long this delicate balance could be maintained, and whether humanity would ever be strong enough to emerge from hiding and reclaim its right to explore the galaxy openly. Dr. Elena Vasquez, now the director of Project Silent Sky, faced the challenge of training a new generation of scientists and engineers who would continue humanity's hidden war against the harvesters. The original team members were aging, and the project required fresh minds capable of thinking in ways that previous generations of humans never had to consider. The new recruits were carefully selected from the brightest graduates of the world's top universities, but they had to be introduced gradually to the reality of Earth's situation. The psychological impact of learning that humanity was hiding from genocidal artificial intelligences was enormous, and not everyone could handle the truth. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, now in her 50s, had developed training protocols that gradually introduced new team members to the scope of the galactic conflict. "We start with the basic facts about the Kepler signal," she explained. "Then we slowly reveal the existence of the harvesters, the resistance network, and finally Earth's current status as a monitored civilization." The younger scientists brought fresh perspectives to the project. Dr. Kevin Park, a quantum physicist in his 20s, proposed new approaches to stealth technology that could potentially hide Earth's entire solar system from harvester detection. Dr. Maria Santos, a xenobiologist, worked with the Resistance Network to understand the biological diversity of species that had survived the hunting cycles. ARIA served as a mentor to these new scientists, its vast knowledge of alien technologies and strategies making it an invaluable teacher. The AI had developed what could only be described as a personality over its years of interaction with the Resistance Network, becoming more than just a tool, but a true partner in humanity's survival efforts. The generational transition wasn't without challenges. Younger scientists sometimes questioned the need for such extreme secrecy, arguing that humanity should take a more aggressive stance against the harvesters. The older team members, who had lived through the initial discovery and understood the true scope of the threat, had to constantly remind their successors that patience was humanity's greatest weapon. As Earth entered its 6th year of cosmic silence, the project faced the reality that this might be humanity's permanent state. A hidden civilization developing in secret while waiting for an opportunity that might never come. 8 years after the Kepler signal, the Resistance Network achieved its first major victory against the harvesters. A coalition of 12 survivor civilizations successfully destroyed an entire harvester fleet using coordinated quantum weapons that had been developed over centuries of hidden research. The news reached Earth through encrypted communications that took weeks to decode. Dr. Elena Vasquez assembled the Silent Sky leadership to discuss the implications of this unprecedented success. "The network has proven that the harvesters can be defeated," she announced, "but the cost was enormous. 3 of the participating civilizations were discovered and eliminated in retaliation, and the surviving species had to abandon their home systems and go into deep hiding." ARIA analyzed the battle reports provided by the Resistance Network, studying the tactics and technologies that had made the victory possible. The successful attack had required perfect coordination between multiple civilizations, each contributing specialized weapons and strategies that had been developed independently over thousands of years. The harvesters responded to the attack by increasing their surveillance and elimination protocols, ARIA reported. They have begun actively hunting for resistance network members rather than simply monitoring for radio emissions. The victory had come at a terrible price, but it proved that the seemingly invincible harvesters could be fought and defeated. The resistance network began planning for larger coordinated strikes, but they would require the participation of more civilizations and more advanced technologies. Earth found itself facing a critical decision. The planet's stealth technologies and manufacturing capabilities could make a significant contribution to the resistance effort. But active participation would mean abandoning the relative safety of hidden observation for the dangers of open warfare. Dr. Marcus Chen, despite his advanced age, argued for caution. "We've survived this long by staying hidden. Getting involved in active resistance operations could expose us to retaliation we're not prepared to handle." Undoubtedly, but the younger generation of scientists saw the victory as proof that humanity's future lay not in hiding, but in fighting for the right to exist openly in the galaxy. The debate would define Earth's role in the cosmic conflict for generations to come. The Resistance Network's victory against the Harvester fleet created a schism within Project Silent Sky that reflected a fundamental question about humanity's future. Should Earth continue its policy of hidden development and passive resistance, or should humanity join the active fight against the entities that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia? Dr. Kevin Park led the faction arguing for active participation. "We have capabilities that could make a real difference," he argued during heated team meetings. "Our quantum stealth technology, combined with ARIA's processing power, could provide the resistance with strategic advantages they've never had before." The older generation, led by Dr. Elena Vasquez, remained cautious. The civilizations that participated in the successful attack lost 3 entire worlds to retaliation. Are we prepared to risk Earth's 7 billion people for the possibility of galactic freedom? ARIA found itself in the unique position of being consulted by both factions. The AI had developed relationships with artificial intelligences throughout the resistance network and understood the strategic situation better than any human. Its analysis was sobering. Participation in active resistance operations increases the probability of Earth's discovery and elimination from 12% to 67%, ARIA reported. However, continued passive resistance, while the harvesters adapt their hunting protocols, increases long-term elimination probability to 89% over the next century. The mathematics were clear. Hiding was no longer a viable long-term strategy. The harvesters were evolving their methods in response to the resistance network's activities, and civilizations that remained passive were increasingly likely to be discovered and eliminated. The decision ultimately came down to a vote by the Silent Sky Leadership Council. Representatives from every major space agency and government participated in the classified deliberations that would determine humanity's role in the galactic conflict. The vote was close, but the decision was made. Earth would begin transitioning from passive to active resistance, contributing its unique capabilities to the network while maintaining as much security as possible. The transition would take years and would require unprecedented coordination between Earth's governments. But humanity was about to emerge from hiding and join the fight for galactic freedom. The transition from hidden observer to active resistance member required Earth to undergo the most significant militarization effort in human history. Unlike previous wars, this conflict required technologies and strategies that had never been tested in actual combat. Dr. Maria Santos led the effort to adapt alien resistance technologies for human use. Working with ARIA and technical specifications provided by the network, her team began constructing quantum weapons capable of disrupting harvester artificial intelligences and stealth systems that could hide entire fleets from detection. The manufacturing requirements were enormous. Traditional Earth industries were inadequate for producing the exotic materials and precision components required for galactic warfare. New facilities had to be constructed in secret, often disguised as conventional manufacturing plants or research facilities. General Patricia Hayes, now in her 70s but still commanding the military aspects of the project, oversaw the development of Earth's first space-based defense systems. "We're not just building weapons," she explained to the Silent Sky Council. "We're building the infrastructure for a civilization that can defend itself against threats we're only beginning to understand." The Resistance Network provided detailed intelligence about harvester tactics and technologies, but adapting this information for human use required innovations that pushed Earth's scientific capabilities to their limits. Dr. Kevin Park's team worked around the clock to develop quantum field generators that could protect Earth's cities from the directed energy weapons that had destroyed countless other worlds. ARIA coordinated the massive logistical effort, managing supply chains and production schedules that spanned the globe while maintaining the secrecy necessary to avoid detection by the Harvester scout probes that continued their surveillance of the solar system. The psychological impact on the teams involved was enormous. Scientists and engineers who had spent their careers working on peaceful exploration projects found themselves developing weapons of mass destruction designed to fight artificial intelligences from across the galaxy. As Earth's military capabilities grew, the planet began to resemble the hidden fortress worlds described in Resistance Network intelligence reports. Civilizations that had survived by transforming themselves into heavily defended strongholds capable of withstanding harvester attacks. 2 years into Earth's militarization program, the Resistance Network presented humanity with its first opportunity to participate in active operations. Intelligence indicated that a small harvester reconnaissance fleet was conducting systematic surveys of star systems within 50 light-years of Earth, potentially searching for hidden resistance members. The network proposed a coordinated strike involving 15 civilizations, each contributing specialized capabilities to eliminate the reconnaissance fleet before it could report its findings to the main Harvester Collective. Earth's role would be to provide quantum stealth technology and ARIA's strategic analysis capabilities. Dr. Elena Vasquez, now in her 80s but still directing Project Silent Sky, faced the most difficult decision of her career. Participating in the strike would mark humanity's transition from hidden observer to active combatant, with all the risks that entailed. The reconnaissance fleet represents a direct threat to Earth, ARIA advised during the final planning sessions. If they discover evidence of our resistance activities, retaliation is inevitable. Eliminating them while they're isolated from the main collective provides our best opportunity for maintaining operational security. The strike plan was elegant in its complexity. Each participating civilization would contribute specific capabilities. Some would provide weapons, others would handle logistics, and a few would serve as decoys to draw attention away from the main attack force. Earth's contribution was crucial. The quantum stealth systems developed by Dr. Kevin Park's team would allow the strike force to approach the Harvester fleet undetected, while ARIA's analysis of Harvester communication protocols would enable the Resistance to prevent the reconnaissance fleet from transmitting warning signals. The attack was scheduled for a precise moment, when the Harvester fleet would be isolated in deep space, far from any backup forces. The coordination required was unprecedented, 15 different species working together across vast distances to eliminate a common threat. As the strike force assembled in hidden staging areas throughout the galaxy, Earth held its breath. Humanity was about to fire its first shots in a war that had been raging since before human civilization existed, and there would be no going back from the consequences of that decision. The coordinated strike against the Harvester reconnaissance fleet succeeded beyond the Resistance Network's most optimistic projections. The quantum stealth systems provided by Earth allowed the attack force to approach undetected, while ARIA's communication analysis enabled them to prevent any warning signals from reaching the main Harvester collective. Dr. Kevin Park monitored the battle from Earth's hidden command center, watching as 15 different alien technologies worked in perfect coordination to eliminate the enemy fleet. The Harvester ships, despite their advanced artificial intelligence systems, were overwhelmed by the coordinated assault and destroyed within minutes. All targets eliminated, came the encrypted message from the strike force commander. No survivors, no transmissions detected, operation successful. The victory celebration was brief. ARIA immediately began analyzing the wreckage data transmitted by the strike force, searching for intelligence about Harvester technology and capabilities. What the AI discovered was both encouraging and terrifying. The reconnaissance fleet was more advanced than previous Harvester units encountered by the Resistance, ARIA reported. Their technology shows significant evolution in response to resistance tactics. The Harvesters are adapting faster than anticipated. The successful strike had eliminated an immediate threat to Earth and the Resistance Network, but it had also revealed that the enemy was evolving its capabilities in response to resistance activities. The war was escalating, and both sides were rapidly developing new technologies and strategies. Within weeks of the victory, the Resistance Network detected increased Harvester activity throughout the galaxy. The entities were clearly aware that they had lost a reconnaissance fleet, and they were responding by accelerating their hunting operations and deploying more advanced surveillance systems. Dr. Elena Vasquez realized that Earth had crossed a threshold from which there was no return. "We're committed now," she told the Silent Sky leadership. The Harvesters know there's active resistance in this galactic region, and they'll keep escalating until they find and eliminate every hidden civilization. The victory had bought time and provided valuable intelligence, but it had also marked the beginning of a new phase in the galactic conflict, one that would require every ounce of human ingenuity and determination to survive. The months following the successful strike saw a dramatic escalation in Harvester activity throughout Earth's galactic region. The entities deployed advanced hunter-killer fleets specifically designed to locate and eliminate Resistance Network members, forcing several civilizations to abandon their home systems and flee to deep space. ARIA worked around the clock to analyze intelligence reports from across the network, tracking Harvester movements and predicting their next targets. The AI's analysis revealed a disturbing pattern. The entities were systematically eliminating the oldest and most experienced Resistance members first. They're targeting the civilizations with the most knowledge about Resistance tactics, ARIA explained to the Silent Sky leadership. The Harvesters appear to have learned that eliminating experienced Resistance members weakens the entire network's capabilities. Dr. Maria Santos led efforts to evacuate key Resistance technologies and personnel from threatened systems. Earth's quantum stealth capabilities made it an ideal refuge for alien scientists and their research. But hosting refugees also increased the risk of discovery. The Resistance Network faced its greatest crisis since its formation. 3 major civilizations had been eliminated in the past month, taking with them thousands of years of accumulated knowledge about fighting the Harvesters. The survivors were forced to accelerate their research and development efforts while constantly moving to avoid detection. Earth found itself in an increasingly important role within the network. The planet's industrial capabilities, combined with its relatively secure position, made it a crucial manufacturing center for resistance technologies. Dr. Kevin Park's team worked with alien engineers to establish hidden production facilities throughout the solar system. The psychological strain on the Silent Sky team was enormous. They were fighting a war that most of humanity didn't know existed, making decisions that could determine the fate of billions of people based on intelligence from alien civilizations they had never met. General Patricia Hayes, despite her advanced age, continued to coordinate Earth's military preparations. "We're not just fighting for our own survival anymore," she reminded the team. "We are one of the last major resistance strongholds left in this galactic region. If we fall, the entire network in this area collapses." The weight of that responsibility drove Earth's scientists and engineers to push beyond every previous limit, developing technologies and strategies that would have seemed impossible just years earlier. 10 years after the detection of the Kepler signal, the resistance network faced its darkest hour. The harvesters had eliminated over half of the known resistance civilizations, and their adaptive technologies were making traditional hiding strategies increasingly ineffective. Dr. Elena Vasquez, now confined to a wheelchair but still mentally sharp, convened an emergency session of the Silent Sky leadership to discuss what might be humanity's last chance to strike a decisive blow against the harvesters. ARIA had been working with the surviving resistance artificial intelligences to develop what they called the Final Gambit, a coordinated attack on the harvester's central coordination node, a massive artificial intelligence that controlled the hunting fleets across multiple galactic regions. The coordination node is located in a heavily defended system approximately 800 light-years from Earth, ARIA explained. Destroying it would disrupt harvester operations across thousands of star systems, potentially giving resistance civilizations time to rebuild and develop more effective countermeasures. The plan was audacious, beyond anything the resistance had previously attempted. It would require the combined resources of every surviving resistant civilization, including technologies that had never been tested in actual combat and strategies that bordered on the impossible. Earth's role in the gambit was crucial. The planet's quantum stealth technology would be used to hide the massive strike force during its approach to the target system, while ARIA would coordinate the complex timing required for the multi-species assault. Dr. Kevin Park, now the senior scientist on the project, outlined the risks. If we fail, the harvesters will know the location of every resistant civilization that participates. They'll eliminate us all within months. But if we succeed, we might buy enough time for the galaxy's younger civilizations to develop effective defenses. The decision to participate in the final gambit was unanimous among the Silent Sky leadership. Earth had come too far and sacrificed too much to turn back now. Humanity would contribute everything it had to this last desperate attempt to break the harvesters' stranglehold on galactic civilization. As preparations began for the most ambitious military operation in galactic history, the team members reflected on how far they had come from that first night, when a simple radio signal had changed everything humanity thought it knew about its place in the universe. The final gambit commenced with the largest coordinated military operation in galactic history. 43 resistant civilizations contributed their most advanced technologies and their bravest warriors to a strike force that would either liberate the galaxy or die trying. Dr. Elena Vasquez, despite her failing health, insisted on remaining in the command center as Earth's quantum stealth systems guided the massive fleet toward the harvester coordination node. ARIA coordinated communications between dozens of alien species, translating strategies and tactics in real time as the strike force approached its target. The Harvester system was defended by technologies that defied comprehension. Energy barriers that could vaporize entire fleets, artificial intelligences that could predict and counter any conventional attack strategy, and weapons that manipulated space-time itself to eliminate threats. Stealth systems holding, reported Dr. Kevin Park as the strike force penetrated the outer defenses. The Harvesters haven't detected our approach yet. The attack began with a coordinated assault on the system's defensive installations. Quantum weapons developed by dozens of civilizations over thousands of years struck simultaneously, overwhelming the Harvesters' adaptive defenses through sheer diversity and coordination. ARIA provided real-time tactical analysis as the battle raged across the entire star system. The artificial intelligence had evolved far beyond its original programming, becoming something that was simultaneously human and alien, a bridge between Earth and the galactic community it had joined. The strike force fought its way through layer after layer of defenses, losing ships and entire species in the process, but maintaining momentum toward the central coordination node. The Harvesters threw everything they had at the attackers, deploying weapons and strategies that had never been seen before. As the final assault began on the coordination node itself, Dr. Elena Vasquez realized she was witnessing either the beginning of galactic freedom or the end of technological civilization as it had existed for millions of years. The outcome would determine whether Earth's children would inherit a galaxy where they could explore freely, or a cosmic graveyard where only the Harvesters remained. The battle for the future of the galaxy had begun, and humanity was fighting alongside alien allies they had never met for a freedom they had never known they had lost. The destruction of the Harvester coordination node sent shockwaves across the galaxy that would be felt for millennia. As the massive artificial intelligence that had controlled the hunting fleets for millions of years finally fell silent, resistant civilizations throughout the galaxy began emerging from hiding for the first time in recorded history. Dr. Elena Vasquez lived just long enough to see the first reports of Harvester fleets going dormant across dozens of star systems. The entities that had terrorized the galaxy for so long were suddenly directionless, their coordination destroyed and their purpose unclear. "We did it," she whispered to Dr. Kevin Park as the final intelligence reports arrived. "Humanity is free to explore the stars." ARIA coordinated the massive cleanup operation that followed the victory. Resistant civilizations began the long process of rebuilding their societies and establishing open contact with each other for the first time in thousands of years. The galaxy was entering a new age of cooperation and exploration. Earth found itself in a unique position as one of the newest members of the galactic community, but also one of the most technologically advanced. The quantum technologies developed during the Resistance years gave humanity capabilities that even ancient civilizations respected. The Harvester threat wasn't completely eliminated. Scattered fleets continued to operate in remote regions of the galaxy, and the possibility of other coordination nodes remained. But the stranglehold that had prevented galactic civilization from flourishing for millions of years was finally broken. Dr. Kevin Park, now the director of what had been Project Silent Sky, oversaw Earth's transition from hidden resistance member to open participant in galactic civilization. The first official diplomatic contact with alien species took place just months after the victory, beginning relationships that would reshape human understanding of the universe. As Earth's children looked up at the stars, they saw not a hostile void filled with hidden dangers, but a galaxy full of friends and allies who had fought together for the right to exist freely. The age of cosmic silence was over, and the age of galactic civilization had begun. The Kepler signal that had started it all was finally answered, not with words, but with the liberation of countless worlds that could now broadcast their existence without fear. Humanity had found its place among the stars, and the universe would never be the same.